What's up? It is GVK Collectibles, and you know what day it is? It is Monday, so it's Mythical Mountain Monday. I hope you guys had a great free comic book day this past Saturday. And of course, it is Saturday now since I'm recording this, just because, you know, work being how it is. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I got some cool books, and the ones I'm very excited about is the Inner House of Slaughter, and what's the other one? And the Blade Runner one-shot. So I'm very, very excited to see where those go. I'm very excited for Inner House of Slaughter. But anyway, with that being said, let's jump into Mythical Mountain Monday. So let me show you my pull. So it is a relatively small pull, of course. There's a lot of cool stuff. The only book I didn't have the chance to read was Super Sons, and that's just because I figured I couldn't get to it because there was the other books that really impressed me, even though Super Sons has been really, really fantastic and great. But a lot of the other comics have been really great, especially Batman Detective Comics was really, really cool. It's also showing the war, the Road to Task Force Z, which is going to be like a bit of a zombie event within continuity. But man, there is a cool shot of like Dan Mora's take on like a classic Neil Adams designed Batman suit, and it looks fantastic, and I just wanted to point that out. So with that, anyway, let's jump into the main book. So the first book of my recommendation, this is actually kind of a shock, it's relatively low for this, but these are my favorite 5, and it is Joker number 6 from James Tynion IV, and March with like the normal creative team. So this is a issue that is jumping back into the continuity again. It begins actually with Hooper County, Texas, which is kind of sets up the not Sawyer family, that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it is the Samson family. So the Samson family, if you don't know, very much allegories for the Sawyer family from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the franchise as a whole. We kind of get an update of the Uncle Sawyer who got messed up by the Joker. He now has to have this essentially mask that one of Uncle Billy, who is one of the other Sawyers who was locked in prison, has. So it's kind of like a Leatherface kind of thing, but it is really, really cool. We kind of get more a little bit in depth with the Sawyer family, which are very, very interesting characters of this kind of like cannibalistic serial killer family. I think it's really, really cool. James Gordon ends up going to Paris because he hurt after everything that had happened with, not last issue, but the previous issue where basically Joker like left him. So they're basically trying to connect the dots. Him and Barbara are trying to connect the dots to see where the hell Joker went. But there's been cool, it's just, you get cool moments with her. Like, I really like this. It's very much a procedural with Gordon and Barbara Gordon, which I really, really enjoyed. Which is really, really cool. It's really cool to see them talk to each other and act this way, knowing Jim Gordon knowing that Barbara is actually is actually Oracle. One thing also to note from the previous few issues, we know that Talon was watching Barbara, and there was a little sign that she posted of picture, like she kind of indicates that she's being watched through telling Jim about a drawing she used to draw, and that they liked spy movies, and they kind of know that she is being watched. He essentially learns that she's being watched. So he calls upon his help from our good old buddy, his good old partner, aka Harvey Bullock, which is really, really cool. So he's actively being a private eye. He got kicked out of being commissioner, as we all know. Maya Montoya is currently the commissioner right now in the current continuity. So Harvey is dealing with becoming a private eye, and he's basically hired by Jim to kind of follow leads here and there about like all the shit that's going on with this whole Joker case with the Samsons, the Bane's daughter, and everything. So it is really, really cool. Eventually, Jim Gordon is taken into custody, of course, by a Interpol agent. We don't know who this woman is exactly, but we know the Joker is in fact in Paris, so it is really, really cool. And of course, we also get a continuation of the Punchline story of where Harper Row actually infiltrates the Blackgate Penitentiary, so basically the area where Punchline is, trying to get like kind of a confession of where this woman that is, I forget his, Kelly, her name is Kelly Ness, who is basically somebody who wronged Punchline in the past, is trying to get her killed. But we eventually, like, Ro tries to do the whole, like, Matches Malone thing that Batman does, but Punchline ends up seeing through with it, and it is actually really, really, really cool, really actually tense within this, of where she beats the shit out of, Harper Row beats the shit out of her, nearly, but you kind of learn that the whole prison is essentially on Punchline's side, which is not good for her. Then we also kind of see her, like, showing Punchline of being a very class manipulator, showing video of her getting beaten up, who is eventually seen by Cullen, aka Harper Row's brother, so it's kind of adding that divide between them, which I think is really, really interesting and really great. The next issue is called, the next part of the story is called The Great Escape, so I am very interested to see where this goes. But yeah, Joker was really, really good. It was more dealing with the fallout from the previous issue, the issue before last issue with Jim Gordon and everything, so it was very much like kind of setting up the story going forward. Of course, Jim Tynan is going to be leaving this title with issue 14, which is going to be sad, but I'm ultimately happy for him continuing his projects, his independent projects, which I'm super excited about, like 17 Like Children, Spark of Truth, and even more independent projects, which is really, really great. But yeah, number 5 recommendation is Joker number 6. This story continues to be really, really great. I love the noir aspect. I like the previous issue, which was a flashback, but it felt very more like a noir kind of comic book, which I really, really enjoyed. So, right here. So, the next comic is, it is actually going to be a shocker. I don't know if I actually put this, but it is Red Sonia issue 2 of Red Sonia, Black, White, and Red. So, with all these kind of black, like the black and white Batman, gold and blue, like gold and white, gold, black, and white, like for Wonder Woman, this series contains 3 self-contained stories, a little smaller comparative to the other offerings that you see, but it is pretty cool. We get several different stories, as of course I'll put each story down below. We get the Podium Finalis, which is really, really cool because it shows a older Sonia who is queen, and she's basically fighting off this horde that are about to attack Hierarchian, which is really, really cool. And the art is really, really well done. It's really cool seeing, like, just, I love these types of books. I don't primarily read quite a lot of them, but I just love the idea of people just using a really 3-color palette, essentially, of red, white, and gray, black, white, and gray. I mean, black, white, and red. Sorry, I'm getting confused with the Batman series, but it is really, really cool how it's really well done. You get to see, like, some kind of really cool images and stuff. Like, and of course, the most striking feature is, of course, Sonia's red hair, which is very, very cool, which I really, really enjoy. But it's a really, really cool story. Very bloody story, which I really, really like. The next story is really, really fun. It's called Edibles, which is really fun, where Sonia is approached by some villagers who are looking, have lost a few people within this smog, and there are a few who are wondering where their daughter went off to. Their daughter went off into the fog, so basically she has set a course to go save them, and eventually we learn something is talking within the mist of this, and it's like this very kind of creepy looking like area full of. So if you've ever seen, if any of the kaiju fans or anybody has seen it, if you've seen Matango, it's kind of like that to a degree, of where like this area is fully overgrown by this kind of fungus that is a living fungus. She eventually finds a girl whose name is Tam. Hopefully. Yep, Tan. But eventually, they manage to get out, because even though Sonia's idea is to just chop it and kill it, ultimately that does not work, and instead, they start eating it, and it starts to go away and starts to get hurt, which is very, very funny. It's very much the idea of, like, the edibles, with mushrooms, so it's a little bit of a fun drug reference. But the next story is probably one of my favorites, and it's actually probably one of my favorites that I enjoyed of this one, of telling, as it always does, the tale of Red Sonia and everything. But then there's a king who is Osmond, who is confused. Red Sonia continually says Assman, which is very, very funny. But we eventually learn that his wife was taken by a Gorgon, which is like this very kind of snake mythical beast, which is really, really cool. And we eventually find that this Gorgon is surrounded by a bunch of women, but it is actually the complete opposite of what the Gorgon is doing. She's not keeping these women against her will. She's actually protecting them, which I really like, because it is a reverse of the idea of a Gorgon, which I know little about, but I think it's a really, really cool concept of where it's just like, I'm protecting these women. Initially, Sonia goes and tries to kill this beast, but before that, they basically talk about, basically Sonia thinks this Gorgon is lying, but then they take back to the king, with all the women. Then, of course, we eventually learn the Gorgon, is actually alive, and basically petrifies the king, kills him, and basically takes the treasure to build a castle to keep all these women safe from, like, servitude and forced marriage, which I thought was really, really cool. I thought it was a really, really fun and cool little story that they did. It's probably one of my favorite. The last one is definitely my favorite, I would say. So yeah, with that being said, Red Sonia number 4. Red Sonia, red, white, black. Black, white, and red is my number 4 pick. I really, really enjoyed this book. Anyway, so with my number 3 recommendation, I actually got to catch up with this book. So previous issues, so let me just get onto it. Infinite Frontier, number 4, is my number 3 pick? Yeah, number 3 pick for today. I really enjoyed this series. It's really, really cool. Of course, this is all kind of falling out of Infinite Frontier 0 and, of course, Dark Knight's Death Metal, with the multiverse being a thing again, which is really, really cool, and like all these different worlds. But we essentially learn is that, and there's cool moments, like we have Calvin Ellis, who is President Superman of Earth 23, is really, really cool, and Thomas Wayne's hanging out with him. So they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, like with Lex Luthor. Essentially, like, they kind of, Calvin knows the idea that there is, Lex was kind of developing transports that, essentially a vehicle that can fly between different multiverses, which is really, really interesting. And it's actually really, really cool they kind of talk, and they have a cool moment of where it's kind of showing their Joshua Williams is really kind of kind of retconning and actually having a redemption for Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne had previously been in the main continuity. He had a big ejection of Bruce being Batman after the events of the Button, where he's basically said stop being Batman. Then the whole City of Bane happened. Then, of course, Thomas got lost in the shuffle after that. But he kind of said that I had a glimpse of getting my family back, but I ruined it. I hurt my son ways that I can never forgive myself, which is really, really cool. Then eventually, when they head to Lex Luthor's lair, they eventually learn Lex has been killed. And the designs for his basically multiversal ships have been taken, of course, from Earth to Earth Zero with Mr. Bones, aka who is this kind of leader of the multiversal department of, kind of like, not a department of truth, but just this department to basically kind of keep everybody, keep the multiverse at bay, essentially, to get kind of rid of it, because he doesn't like the idea of it, and kind of protecting his world, which, like, everything kind of is screwed up because of Earth Zero, so, which is really, really screwed up, which, like, this says, our world is under constant attack. Often it's from, basically he's, like, saying, I don't like the multiverse because there's too many possibilities. So, with people, the closest comparison to, like, what's going on with this is, think of the idea of Loki right now with the multiverse, especially at the end of the series, like, where he who remains is there kind of keeping the sacred timeline intact, just because it is the one timeline. Therefore, the TVA is a thing, so you don't have a multiverse where all these multiverse are at war. Essentially, that's what Bones is worried about. I'm calling him Mr. Bones because that's what he is. He's a freaking skeleton man. But it is really, really cool because you actually get this a cool shot of, like, all the menaces of, and all the different heroes of the multiverse. You get the Anti-Monitor. You get that girl. I don't know who it is. Dr. Manhattan. This kind of slug thing. I don't know what that is. You got the Batman who laughs, Pandora, Parallax, Hal Jordan, Dr. Manhattan. It's really, really cool to see like all these kind of villains. And it's actually really cool. This series is just generally cool because it really plays with the multiverse. Usually DC's always been kind of, not ashamed, but they've been like, they feel like the multiverse is too convoluted to kind of keep up because of all these different universes. It's confusing to a lot of people. But ultimately we see actually Chase, who was basically working side by side with Mr. Bones, basically kind of betray him, and they take him to this place called the Bleed, which is basically where the ships travel through between the multiverses, essentially, and we get to catch up with a few other people, and it's really, really cool, and interesting. A lot of multiversal stuff, which I'm like, holy crap, this is like, it's really, really crazy. But a really cool moment happens at the end of where Thomas is looking at like this kind of matrix to see all the multiverses, and he sees all the different versions of Batman, all the different versions of Bruce, and then we eventually see the Bruce that we know within the main continuity, where and it's really, really cool because Thomas has a redemption arc of where he realizes he was wrong about him not wanting Bruce to be Batman, and he's like, no, you'll always be Batman, which is really, 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 really cool, and it's a cool redemption arc for Thomas Wayne in general, I think. Then we eventually learn Machine Head, who is this member of the Justice League Incarnate, which is essentially this multiversal, well, what I think is the Earth 23 contingent, essentially, or it is the multiversal version of the Justice League. We eventually learn he basically is sick of, he doesn't like the multiverse, he's kind of lost everything because of an invading multiverse, and we eventually see the Injustice League, which we get to see like different members. We get to see no, I forget his name, like Superwoman from the Crime Syndicate, a Yellow Lantern, Joker, which is very, very creepy, but this story is very, very cool. Like, it's very, very fun, delves very hard in the multiverse. I try my hardest to explain it, but, like, the multiverse is just so, like, a round thing. But Joshua Williams does a really good job of continuing the series, and they do have a new, after this book comes out, there is called the Justice League Incarnate, which is going to be the multiversal Justice League, which is going to be very, very cool to see. I'm very happy to see where this book continues. I think Thomas Wayne's redemption arc, just in general, is really, really cool, and Williams only manages to do it within 4 issues, and it's really, really cool, because I know a lot of people didn't like Thomas being within main continuity, being the way how he was written by Tom King, which, like, I can't really say too much. I never read the book, but I'm only going off what people have said, but, like, I really like Thomas Wayne in this, because I think it's really, really cool, and I like the idea of him kind of coming to terms like he had messed up, essentially, of kind of hurting his son. So it is really, really cool. So DC Infinite Frontier number 4 is my number 3 pick. So with my next pick, this is actually really, really cool. I was not expecting this series to be as good as it is, and is the final of Spider-Man Spider Shadow. Essentially, where this issue, this is of course done by Chip Zdarsky, who is an incomparable, like, an amazing writer with, like, Spider-Man. Like, anything good you've heard about, like, Spider-Man at all, like, within recent years, it's usually Chip Zdarsky who's doing it. And there's a few others. But we left, like, it's cool because it deals with the end of the story of defeating the symbiote. So basically, this is also a what-if story, too. What if Spider-Man didn't give up the symbiote to the Fantastic Four? And this is kind of like the fallout of him dealing with it. But basically, he is going to be saving Mary Jane because she's going to be attacked by the Avengers, who are infected by the Venom symbiote as well, who has infected Reed Richards, and who is super uber smart now. But basically, Peter is actually coming up with a plan to basically get rid of Venom, which is really, really cool. But something happens of where Venom basically, Peter basically says, hey, you can have me. But in that process, Venom kills Reed Richards, which is very, like, unexpected, but, like, it's really, really cool. But then we eventually learn that the Venom symbiote eventually gets attached to Peter, but it's not Peter. It's the Human Torch. So he eventually kills the symbiote, which is really, really good, and eventually reconciliates with Mary Jane, but Sue and the Fantastic Four are also dealing with the fallout of Reed's death, which is very, very sad and sucks. And there's a cool moment with J. Jonah Jameson and Eddie Brock, where J. Jonah Jameson basically says, it's like, hey, you gotta forgive Spider-Man. That's basically what it's coming down to, but it's really, really well written by Chip Zdarsky. Like, I love how he has done and written J. Jonah Jameson, especially Eddie Brock, within this. And we eventually learn Peter Parker was acquitted of his crimes. Basically, he was found guilty because he was under the influence of the symbiote, as all the other Avengers who were witnesses said. But he feels like there's a part of him that is still a responsibility for so much destruction. Eventually, Sue comes and actually kind of reconciliates with Peter, and they talk. And it's a cool moment where Sue basically, with Reed gone, invites Peter to become one of the Fantastic Four, which is such a cool, like image. This is also kind of like maybe a throwback to, like, what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four. And of course there's an epilogue with Kingpin, basically him being pissed that Peter has been acquitted of his crimes, and ultimately it is his priority to destroy Peter Parker. Then we eventually learn he has a Venom symbiote, or what's left of a Venom symbiote, so basically he's gonna fucking come back. So I don't know if this series is actually going to get a sequel, but goddamn, it was such a good book. Like, I really, really liked it. This was actually one of my first full read Chip Zdarsky runs of any Spider-Man book, and I gotta say, I was superly impressed by it, and I really enjoyed it. It was really, really cool. It was cool to see this what-if story in a long format, this 5-issue mini, which is really, really cool. Usually what-ifs are only one-offs, but Chip Zdarsky has a lot of fun, gets to play with that sandbox within that time period of when he has the symbiote, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that is my number 2 recommendation, Spider-Man. Okay guys, and for the final book in my Mythical Mountain Monday, well, you got to see a tease of it, of course, here. This book I was super excited about when they first announced it, and it took a while for it to come out. And but man, I am super excited that it came out finally. It is Batman 89, and I feel like with a lot of people, their first exposure to Batman, especially like me, even though this movie came out in 89, of course, but I remember watching it on TV a lot as a kid, and especially Batman Returns. This is such a big influential part of my love for Batman. I really, really, truly enjoy this story, and it's also written by Sam Hamm, who did the story for Batman 89 and Batman Returns. So this fits directly right into the universe, and there's cool moments you get to see. You get to see frickin' Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent in this, because this is very much acting like a sequel to Batman Returns. They don't outright say it, but we do get teasers through, like, concept arts and designs that Catwoman's eventually going to show up, so this is clearly after. But it's really cool. It starts with him taking Barbara Gordon out on a date. So this Barbara is a little older, not the one, it isn't the same Barbara we know from main continuity, so it's very much the Tim Burton version of the character, and it's really, really cool. And there's actually a cool moment of where we see this guy dressed up as Joker, who is Prince. I'm not even kidding, the dude is basically Prince. I will do a zoom up of it real quick. It's just Prince, and it's really, really cool. And eventually Harvey Dent proposes to Barbara Gordon. So this is very cool and very unique, very different from what we've seen from previous continuities. And of course we get to see Batman, which looks super cool within the Batsuit within this universe. I really like the Batsuit within this universe. I think it's one of my favorites, but he's kind of thwarting this armed robbery, essentially, that the Joker gang, this gang called the Jokers, essentially, very much in line with the previous, Joker. So it is clearly you seeing the seeds of, the Joker even after his death in the first movie. But it's really, really cool. You get a lot of cool moments and fight scenes with Batman. You get to see the 89 Batmobile. There's a lot of cool stuff you get to see from the films, which is really, really cool. And, like, it's done really well within this kind of version of what could have been this could have been Batman Forever, essentially, if Burton had his way. And it's really, really cool. Eventually, Harvey actually gets attacked by some goons who a goon eventually takes one of Barbara's purse. Eventually Harvey goes chasing after him. Then you kind of see the seeds of Two-Face get into in this book, which is really, really cool. And there's actually a cool few references. One of the Joker gangs looks like he's wearing like goggles from Dark Knight, like one of the mutant gangs, Dark Knight Returns. Batman is really, really cool because while it looks very it's very much Keaton, like especially Bruce Wayne, there's elements of like the animated series in there, which I really, really appreciate. It's really, really cool how they like kind of brought us all together. And Alfred looks exactly how he does in the '89 movie and Returns, which looks fantastic. But we're actually we eventually learned that Harvey goes back to where he grew up, which is really, really cool, from Burnside, which is really, really it's awesome to show Burnside, because mainly I know that for the Batgirl run, but it's really, really cool. So basically what Harvey Dent is kind of declaring war on mass vigilantes, aka Batman, and this kind of not ruins Bruce, but it puts Bruce in a precarious position, because after this, Commissioner Gordon and him still can talk and connect. So this is clearly after Batman Returns, and there is cool references of the reason I am I help Jim Gordon is because he was there on the night my parents died, which is really, really cool. But it's really, really cool, and we actually get to see Jim Gordon in this, and Jim Gordon looks like a good mix between his movie counterpart and what he traditionally looks like in Batman the Animated Series, which I really like. I like how there's these kind of unique meshing of the character designs from '89, the Tim-verse, the Tim Burton verse, I should say, and the animated series, which I really enjoyed. The military has basically been called in to basically take care of Batman and the mass vigilantes. Then we eventually, Batman eventually chases a guy who just didn't steal any money. He just stole some baby food for his baby sister, and eventually we get our first encounter of Robin within this book, and it's a really, really cool design. It's only a small little snippet before Batman. Essentially, what happens is Robin kicks his ass off this balcony, not a balcony, but the rafters, essentially, and basically he's then confronted by the military, where that leaves off a cliffhanger. But I gotta say, this book is super, super cool. I really enjoyed a lot of it. I love the art style from Joe Unotias, I believe, but he has done some fantastic job of really nailing that '89 style, which I really, really appreciate. I really love that in this book. And the writing is really, really good. It's Sam Hamm who wrote The Return and '89, so he knows how to write these characters. I really, really enjoyed this book. And also you get a little tease of Superman 878, which is really, really cool, which I will actually probably pick up because I really, really dig that first Superman movie. So with that being said, that is my number one pick. It is Batman '89. I think it's a great comic. This is a 6-issue mini. I can't wait to see this further explored. This is probably going to be the Batman Forever we should have gotten. So with that being said, that's Mythical Mountain Monday, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed my picks for the comics this week. It's been a little bit of a weird week, just with work and everything. You know how it goes. But with that being said, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you get notified when we upload Mythical Mountain Monday, What's a Box Wednesday, Figure Review Fridays. And also check us out on Macari, Instagram, and Facebook. All links will be down below. And with that being said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and